Hey guys, and welcome back to the chaos that is the fish room. When I did the last update on my 150, a lot of you seem to have questions about how I feed it. So I thought today I would take time and do a feeding video for you. Now, this tank is not as simple to feed as some of my others. There's a lot of unique dietary needs, some specialized grazers, and some important things to be taken into consideration. But feeding time is always fun. So let's take a look and I'll show you what I'm feeding, how I'm feeding, and why I'm feeding what I'm feeding. I've gathered together some daphnia, some catfish chips, which are for the grazers, and then some generic crumbles in order to feed the fish and let you see how they behave. Now, as I mentioned, I've gathered together some daphnia, and I just use a simple turkey baster to feed this. That allows me to suction up a bunch of the critters and add it to the tank. Now, as I mentioned, there's a bunch of different feeding strategies within this tank. We have the minnows, which will eat pretty much anything. We have the rhinogobius and the sikiopus, which is that guy right there, that are really much more of a predator. And it's important for them to offer a high protein diet, and they really appreciate moving food. And that's where this live daphnia comes in. Now, those fish also will take frozen, so I use a lot of frozen baby brine in this tank. And then we have all my grazers, which are all the gastromyzons and various flat-faced loaches that are in this tank. And those guys graze constantly on all the green surfaces of the rock, but I also like to be able to supplement them. Now, in the wild, they eat offwalks, and we've talked about this before, but what offwalks is sort of the algae and the gunk and the microcrustaceans that get caught on the rocks in areas of high flow in the wild. Because of that, a lot of those guys will take some baby brine or the live daphnia as supplementation. As with any of my tanks, I really feel like variety is the spice of life. I mean, I know firsthand I don't like to eat the same thing every day, so I try and offer my fish a wide range of things that they may enjoy. While I was at the aquatic experience, I met with the guys from Sarah, and they gave me some various crumbles and chips to try as well, so I'm pretty excited to see how they respond. So what I'm going to do is just take my turkey baster and drop the live food in, and we should see right away fish come out of the woodwork. Now, this is obviously way too much daphnia to feed all at once, but I just gathered it all together to show you. So I'm going to drop that in. I'm just going to throw in a pinch of my crumbles. And then I'm going to drop in some of the chips. Now, the chips will last a lot longer and get caught in the bottom for those grazers to get at later. And because they have those super long digestive tracts, this is a much better delivery method for them. So a lot of you guys ask me if I turn off the pumps, and I don't, and that's because all of these fish are used to catching and feeding in an area of high current. You can see the rhinogobius just going to town. They swirl all through the waterway and just gather their food that way. So this is a more natural delivery method for them, and it means that it really gets them interested in eating. Same with the sikiopus here in the foreground. Now, historically, both of these fishes are sort of difficult to feed in the home aquarium unless you can duplicate the food spiraling through the water column like this. So the pumps really help me to feed these guys properly. Now, these spiny loaches are not particularly hard to feed, but they can be a little shy. Here we can see one of the female rhinogobius coming in from out of the wood. In order to, and there's a gastromyzon. And the females are a little more reclusive than the males, so feeding this live food really makes sure that they come out to eat. They often are chased by the males so much that feeding this way is a good idea. You can see the minnows will just hang out in the current, waiting for that food to be blown past them in order for them to eat. And you can already see how round their bellies are. Here are some of those gastromyzon collecting food that lands across those rocks. rhinogobius really seem to thrive when fed this way. You can see a spiny loach or two underneath that piece of wood, and they're a little more reclusive. So feeding both dried and live foods, or frozen and dried foods at the same time, really gives those fish an opportunity to eat. You can see nobody seems at all fazed by the current in this tank during feeding time. I think that if I saw a different behavior and I saw fish having a hard time getting their food, then I would reevaluate whether I leave the pumps on or not. But nobody seems in the slightest fazed. And even the food that doesn't get eaten will get trapped in all the various plants and surfaces for these guys to graze on later. It's one of the benefits to having a lot of grazers in an aquarium. You can see a zebra loach there. They're Micronemichylis cruciatus. One of my favorites. Really enjoying feeding in this flow. Now, I do also supplement this tank with gelatinized foods from time to time, but that's mainly for the grazers. Feeding this varied diet really helps all my various fish in this tank color up and exhibit their best behavior. I just find these minnows to be stunning. There's a male Petroichthys, or male Micronemichylis. They're an interesting loach because they hover in the midwater. These guys are working on some of those tablets I dropped in there. And those get caught in areas of low flow, which again is great for these grazers. I hope you guys enjoyed feeding time in the 150. Let me know down below, what are your favorite tanks to feed? What do you feed and what are you feeding? As always, I appreciate the support, so don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss any of my updates, my Tuesday tips, or my Sunday species spotlights. And as always, if you guys have any comments, suggestions, or questions, let me know below. I also wanted to mention that my friend Jen Williams and I have made these t-shirts available for purchase. We're currently taking pre-orders for any of you ladies out there that would love to have an Aqua Girls t-shirt. Let's face it, we're a bit outnumbered. But guys, lest you feel left out, we are currently working on a design where you can show your support for Aqua Girls as well.